You know, I could just never imagine myself in a 9 to 5 job. Every day on set, I was like, how will I survive this day? And I can assure you that you will benefit the most out of this film. And that time I was like, I mean, of course, he'll say that. It's okay, there will come a day when you won't have time to do anything and you will just be at work, busy. I told her, I want to do it. She's like, what? There's another round of audition. What do you mean you want to do it?
We have with us someone who was introverted as a youngster and did not like any attention. In the past year or so, she has been in the limelight and one can see the glow on her face. Triptii Dimri, most certainly, has been the Hindi film industry's breakthrough star of 2024, and we are happy to have her. Welcome to Forbes India, Triptii.
Thank you so much. Thank you for such a lovely introduction.
Triptii, it's been a year since Animal released.
Yeah.
That film has been a turning point in your career.
Yes.
And you followed that with a string of releases. Has the feeling of being a popular star finally sunk in?
Not really. I mean, I'm still digesting it, but it's been quite overwhelming. I mean, I was not expecting the kind of response that especially my character has gotten post Animal, and it's something that as an actor you always wait for. You always wait for that one, role that'll get you more eyeballs, and that's something that happened with Animal. And what made me very, very happy was that after watching Animal, because it was for a larger audience, that audience, they watched my other work. Like
Yes, your previous work.
My previous work, Netflix films like Bulbul and Kala, and which is something that I always wanted. I wanted those films to be watched by a large number of people, which has finally happened. So I'm very happy for that.
Yeah, I spoke about Animal because although it was a small role, it gave you the kind of recognition that some of your previous films, Kala, Bulbul, Laila Majnu, hadn't.
Yeah.
What does this acceptance mean to you, and how have you benefited from it?
It means a lot to me. I mean, as I said earlier, every actor, wants craves for this, and it, there's a lot of responsibility also then on you as an actor, because you want to be able to, deliver your best. And when you're working with, say you were just talking to me about Rajkumar Rao, an actor of that sort, and you see him putting in his 100%, even though he's done so many films, you just look at them and you feel inspired, and you're like, oh, this is, something that I also want to do as an actor. Because there are days where you're tired and you're like, Aaj itna nahi ho payega, today just let me give my 10%. But then when you see these actors giving their 200% every day on set, then that is something that motivates you. And of course, with this achievement, that kind of, you also get some confidence, you also get some, self-assurance, and I think that is very, very important. So yeah, the aim is to, do good work and do it with as much honesty as possible.
The reason I asked you that was because you've obviously been on a signing spree. You've been inundated with offers since Animal.
Actually, half the films were signed before Animal.
Is it?
Which a lot of people don't know. I think
So
Bad
busting
News
some
was
myths
done.
over here.
Yes, Bad News was done. Shot a year before Animal released, and even the Vicky Vidya was signed before Animal came out. They actually watched Bulbul and Kala, and they liked my performances in those films, and that's how I got those roles. And even Animal, for that matter, Sandeep sir mentioned it to me when he was, when he met me for the film. He said, I loved your work in Bulbul, and that's why I thought I'll meet you and see if you would be interested in doing this film. So I think I truly feel that I am where I am today because of Bulbul and Kala.
But it's a good thing. You were telling me how busy you were and you're doing 16-hour shifts.
Yeah.
It's good to be busy all the time.
It's very good to be busy. We've really literally waited for these days, and there were days, I would be sitting at home just doing nothing, and I would be like, it's okay, there will come a day when you won't have time to do anything and you will just be at work, busy, and I'm glad that those days have come.
Yeah, you were talking about the past 12 months, but most recently the icing on the cake has been the IMDB's list where you've been named the most popular Indian star of 2024. How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, I wasn't really expecting that, and I just was very, very happy to see that. Very happy, and I thank God. I said, I'm so grateful that this has happened, because, I remember the first 2 years when I just moved to Bombay, and that time I didn't even think that I would make a mark, or I would be an actor, or I would be good in acting, because I just trying my luck, you know. I was like, I don't want to study, let me try something different, and then acting happened, and then I fell in love with acting. But I never thought that I would, you know, get an opportunity to work with the actors that I like, the directors that I like. And now that I have that, I'm very, very grateful to God.
Yeah, you spoke about coming to Mumbai. Let's go back a bit. You don't come from a film family. Your father was with the Air India, your mother was a homemaker. You're one of 3 siblings, right?
Yes.
And no one is remotely connected to the film industry.
Nobody, yeah.
So did you get the jitters when you decided to make a career out of films?
I did, because it is a difficult profession, you know. When you see it from the outside, you feel, kya acting hi to karna hai. But when you finally, you know, arrive here and you see the competition, you see how many people, you know, are trying just, you know, for that one chance.
Yeah.
Even when I moved to Bombay, at least for a year, I mean, I would go for like 5, 6 auditions every single day, not miss a single day. And then you would get selected, you know, for 1 or 2 maybe TVCs, but that would not take you very far, right? It was quite challenging, but it was a lot of fun also at the same time. And I think I have learned a lot about acting, or about, you know, I think it's something that just makes you a very strong person, and that experience, I feel, was very, very important. And if I'd just gotten it immediately, I think I would have been a very different actor. But I'm so glad that I went through that entire process of, you know, rejections and auditioning and standing in line for hours and hours, and then making friends there. And then when I meet the same people today, so many of them are doing such amazing work. It just makes me very happy.
You said you were pursuing literature, and you said you were not academically sound. It was serendipity that brought you into the glamour world. What gave you the confidence to step in and take that plunge?
What gave me the confidence? I think more than confidence, I just wanted to run away from that life. I didn't want to, you know, I could just never imagine myself in a 9-to-5 job. And I didn't know what to do when I was, I think, 2021, and my parents were like, you know, now college is done, now what do you want to do in life? And I had no answer to that. Then I think there was some auditions happening in the college only. I went in for those auditions and I got selected, and that selection gave me a little bit of confidence ki theek hai, maybe this is something I am slightly good at, so let me give it a try. And that's when I started auditioning properly. And then again, of course, a lot of rejections, and then there was some TV serial that I auditioned for, which I got selected for also. Wow. Then I auditioned for a Santoor ad, which I got selected for, and that's the ad that got me to Bombay. And I was, I think, 20 years old then, and it was my first time in Bombay, and I remember that day, I was like, so this is what Bombay looks like. And, you know, I wanted to shift immediately because I just felt a sense of freedom. And I felt a connect, and I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. And that's where it started. That's where I was like, you know, I need to give more auditions. And luckily I was here then after that for a week, so I gave a lot of auditions in Bombay.
You did catalogs, you did print ads, TV commercials. You were born in Uttarakhand, and you are from Uttarakhand.
I'm from Uttarakhand.
And you're born and brought up in Delhi.
In Delhi, yes.
Yes, but you moved to Bombay, which is not an easy city to live in. So what was your initial experience? What were the struggles like? Did you ever feel like going back?
Initially, yes. I mean, not for the first 6 months, because, you know, freedom is something that I always craved for. And when I got here, I was like, wow, I can do anything, I can go anywhere. You also feel safe as a girl in this city, you know. So I could be out till 2 a.m., 3 a.m., which was, you know, unheard of. And I really was I was living with my manager and the other model friends of mine, and I was just, you know, just going with the flow. I was loving this new life, and then slowly I started realizing that this is not enough. What I'm doing right now is not enough. If I want to sustain myself here, I need to put in more effort, and I need to, you know, find something more for myself. And that's when the reality hit me, and that's when I started missing my family because abhi kaam karna pad raha hai. So, and then I would get a call from them every now and then because initially they were also scared.
Yes.
They, you know, there's nobody from the family, even from the extended family in Bombay. So they were also literally very scared, and they would call me 5 times a day and be like, "Have you eaten?" And that was one of the problems because when you are from Delhi, you don't like the food anywhere else. And I would literally lie to them every single day that I've eaten this or that, but I would just eat khichdi the whole day. And I mean, the first year and the second year itself also was a bit of a struggle because when I got serious about, you know, acting, I realized that it's so difficult to enter the industry. It's so difficult to find your voice. It's so difficult to, you know, just get up every
Navigate.
day and do the same thing. It's not easy. I mean, you sometimes, now when I said some days and realize, I was like, how did I do that? That today, if I had to go for 5 auditions a day, I don't think I would be able to. But that time, there was some courage that I had, the hunger that I had that made me do it. Even after getting rejected so many times. And there would be 100 people who are auditioning for the same thing, sitting right in front of you. And you're just doing it again and again and again. And I think, that experience was very, very special. But the first 2 years were difficult. I mean, there were days where, you know, you would be demotivated and you'd want to go back, leave everything behind because you have a life in Delhi, you have your friends in Delhi, your parents in Delhi, there's security there. But here it was just
freedom.
I mean, there were hardships, but there was freedom.
Okay. Eventually, you got a film, Poster Boys, a small role, and then Laila Majnu happened, which was your first movie as the lead.
Yes.
What was the feeling of seeing yourself on the big screen as this lead actor?
It was very special because, I mean, everybody wants to, whoever's, you know, trying to be an actor, they want to see themselves on that big screen. And when that happened, I was just super thrilled because मेरा भी सपना था एक दिन, you know, I'll watch myself as the main lead of a Hindi film. And before that also, it happened with Poster Boys. I was here in Bombay when I was shooting for the Santoor ad, which is when I got a call from the casting director for Poster Boys. And I was just surprised. I was like, people struggle for 14-15 years is what I've heard. What is happening with me? But I don't think that I was an actor then because I didn't know anything about acting and I was just, you know, having fun maybe. It's Laila Majnu that, you know, taught me what acting really is because I struggled for the first 2 months. I was literally struggling because I remember I would be talking to my director and my co-actor and they would be using like such heavy acting oriented terms. Backstory, this, that, and I'd be like, what are they talking? This is the language. This was one language that I didn't understand back then, which is when I thought I would, you know, enroll for an acting workshop and see if this is for me. And that workshop literally changed my life. It made me into a better person, made me connect with myself on a deeper level, and I think made me fall in love with acting. And since then, I've never looked back. And the second schedule of Laila Majnu, I could see a difference in my approach towards acting, in myself as a person. And my director also told me, what have you done in this break? I was like, I've done something, I won't tell you.
What was this workshop? Tell us about it.
It's called The Actor's Truth. Saurabh Sachdeva is the acting coach. And it just helps you open up as a person. There are a set of exercises that they make you do, imagination exercises. It's basically, you know, everybody knows, I've spoken about it so many times, that I was a very introverted person. I just didn't want
attention
to be the center of attention. And then I remember the first day I entered the class, I sat at the back. Last ke corner mein kisi mein, I just sat there and my coach was like, you get up and you sit right here. And I want you to sit here all 30 days. And I was like, shit, but that gave me such confidence. The first day, of course, I felt awkward. Second day, yes. By the end of the workshop, I was a different person. They make you, you know, do emotion exercises. You work on your emotions on a very, very deeper level. which I feel is very important because we keep a lot of our emotions hidden.
Bottled up,
Yeah, and I think it just helped me release those bottled up emotions, and I think it's something for everybody. Every person should do it, not just actors. It just, you ask yourself really important questions that you usually avoid, because they say that if you don't really know yourself, how will you know the truth of your characters, because you're not asking yourself the right questions. You're running away from them. You're running away from your reality. So if you want to play a character honestly, you'll have to answer those questions for your character.
Laila Majnu didn't do well initially, but it got a lot of love when it re-released recently. The same thing happened with your films Kala and Bulbul. Were you disappointed that they didn't work then? Did you anticipate that you were going to be mobbed after the release?
Laila Majnu se I had a lot of expectations. Of course, you want your film to do well, and you know, the day of the release, of course, you want Kecha by the end of the day. I'll have a lot of fans, and a lot of people will go and watch the film. But then that didn't happen then. I remember going to a theatre to watch the film, and it was just empty. It was just me and two other girls sitting. It was so disappointing. And yes, I was expecting that I would get a lot of work post Laila Majnu because I was confident about my performance. It was immature, but it was still, I think, somewhere in place. But I was expecting a lot more then, and then when it didn't happen, yes, of course, there was some disappointment. But then you let go of it and you learn to live with it. And then 2 years later, like after that, there was no work. I mean, I was not getting the kind of work I wanted to do. So I said, let me just use this time to do more workshops, because my first love with acting had happened. So I was like, let me just do more workshops and keep working at it, and maybe one day I'll get that film that will change my life. And that's when Bulbul's audition happened.
Right.
And a lot of people around me were like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, because it's, no, you don't do, you've just given a theatrical, you can't do an OTT film. And that time, there were hardly any OTT films. It was one of the first 8 films. But I said, let me just give it a try. What harm can it do to me? And I auditioned. By then also I didn't know what the film is like, and I was in a sari and that heavy jewelry and heavy makeup, and I was like a little disconnected from it at the start, because as a young actress you don't want to be wearing a sari and that heavy jewelry. And I didn't know the script. It's when I met Anvita for the first time and she narrated the whole story to me, and I was like, okay, this is something that I will do. Like, even if 1,000 people tell me don't do, even if God today comes down and says don't do this film, I will still do it, because I want to experience this. And it's something with her narration. I mean, she just narrates everything so beautifully that I was like engrossed for those 3 hours. And I told her, I want to do it. She's like, why? There's another round of audition. What do you mean you want to do it? And then she again auditioned. She's like, live with the story for 3-4 days.
Right.
And then I'll do another scene with you, and the scene that you've done already, we'll do it again, and I'll see how much of a difference I can see in the performance. And then we did those 2 scenes. Abhishek Banerjee was there with me auditioning, and that's when she was like, I think the audition went well, and she said, you're on board. And it was the most beautiful experience of my life, because it just taught me so much. I was a very different person before Bulbul, and after Bulbul, I completely changed. And there was so much about acting that I've learned from my acting coach Saurabh Sachdeva, and then there's Anvita Dutt, who's taught me a lot again about acting, about just being a strong, empowered woman. And I think that was something that I needed at that point in time in my life. And yeah, since then it's just been beautiful.
Yeah, Kala, Bulbul, Laila Majnu, all fantastic choices, author-backed roles with substance.
Yes.
I mean, a rarity for a newcomer to choose those kind of roles at the beginning of their career. What drove you towards them? I mean, was it just the film and the story alone, or just take whatever you get, because it's not easy for an outsider to make a mark initially?
I think it was a mix of both.
Okay.
I really was hungry for work. and I'm really, really glad, and I thank my stars that I got the right opportunities at the right time. I mean, who would say no
Absolutely.
to a Sajid Ali and an Imtiaz Ali film? As a fool.
Yeah.
Who would say no to a film like Bulbul or Kala? I had the narration and I was like, I am on. Like,
Yeah.
and I was thanking my stars every day that, you know, I was like, how is this happening? There was no way I would say no to such films. And of course, when you work with such people who are serious about the craft, you know, who are who put in their everything, like, I remember after finishing those 3 films, like last day of the shoot, all of us would be just crying that this is over. And that's what you want, right?
Yeah.
You want to go and have fun, because I feel at the end of the day, it's the experience that stays with you.
Absolutely.
You know, 50 years
So many memories
later,
that you
when I
made.
look back, I want to be like, oh, I had so much fun in doing Bulbul
Yeah.
and Kala or Laila Majnu or the other films that I've done. It's the experience that stays with you. So I think it's very, very important to choose the people you work with, the films you want to work on, the characters you want to play. And as long as that is sorted, the hits and the flops don't really matter.
Yeah. And then Animal happened. Again, it was a stellar cast over there.
Yes.
Great director. But you had a small role. What made you agree to that?
I had a small role, but I feel it was a very, very important
Pivotal
role.
role, yes.
And of course, when I met Sandeep sir, he told me the first day itself that, Triptii, I won't lie to you, it's not a, you know, you're not there throughout. It's a very small role, but I can assure you that you will benefit the most out of this film. And that time I was like, I mean, of course, he'll say that. But the character, I found the character to be very interesting because, you know, us time tak I had done roles like Bulbul and Kala, which were like very clean and in a certain way.
Linear, yeah.
This I felt was a little challenging for me because I had to play innocent, but inside I was not an innocent person.
Inside you were a villain.
So to tap into that,
Yeah.
I thought would be very interesting. And of course, who doesn't want to work in a big film, in a big setup, you know, that was a great chance. And of course, I've always been a fan of Ranveer, Bobby sir, I'd already worked with. So I was like, this is a great setup.
Yeah.
T-Series is a big banner to be associated with. So it was a no-brainer for me. And again, the experience has been just amazing. I mean, Sandeep sir was just there throughout, and he's also someone who's very, very passionate, you know, about his work. He every day, like every time we were shooting, he would just be like, "What do you feel?" And I think that's very, very important that you ask your actors that. That's when you feel the connect with your director, and that's where you're like, okay, my opinion matters. It's not like I'm just here to deliver what you want, and I think that's when the magic happens, when there's, you know, good jugalbandi between an actor and a director. Even though it's their vision, your points are, you know,
Taken seriously.
And that gives you a lot of confidence also that, okay, I can, you know, even if this goes wrong, maybe I can, you know, try a different way. And maybe if that also goes wrong, or if there's something that I want to do personally, I have the liberty to tell my director that, sir, okay, I've done your take now, like, can I do mine?
Correct.
And then you can, you know, take a call on the edit. And it's so important to be working with such people. There's a lot of freedom attached to it, and then you are free to experiment more, I feel. That's when you work fearlessly.
You got a lot of appreciation and recognition, but the best part, I believe, was that a lot of people went back and saw your other work, Kala, Bulbul. The negative was, of course, that the brickbats also started pouring in.
A lot of that. But that's okay. I mean, who's been... It's happened to everybody. I'm not the only one.
You know, there was TV scenes in Animal, and then there was Bad News and Vicky Vidya, which also had you in a glam avatar. People wondered, why is she doing this? There was talk about this overt sexualization of Triptii Dimri, and the fact that, you know, these weren't really films that belong to you entirely. What do you have to say?
I think I am someone who wants to give my 100%. And if I have found the characters interesting or the stories interesting, and I want to do it with like 100% honesty, because that's something that I've learned in my acting classes and in life as well, that, you know, whatever you do, you put in your 100%. It works, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It won't always work for everybody. You won't always be liked by everybody. There'll be some people who will like you, who will not like you for anything that you do.
Correct.
So you can't be doing things,
Yeah.
keeping all of that noise in mind. You have
Right.
to, find your truth and follow your heart and do what you feel is right in the moment. Tomorrow you may look back and see like, "Arey yaar, it was a mistake." But then in that moment,
Yeah.
you were
You do what is
truthful
right.
and you believed in it. So, do it with full honesty. And I think as an actor, I am always trying to do something different. Like how Zoya was very different from all the other characters that I have played. Similarly, I don't think Vidya is, she was a very different person. It was very difficult to play Vidya. Every day on set, I was like, how will I survive this day? Because comedy for me is something that's very difficult. I think for most actors, they agree to this, that acting is, comedy is the most difficult genre. And when you have actors like Rajkumar Rao, Vijay Raj, Malika Sherawat, Tiku sir performing in front of you, then you're like, oh God, how do I perform in front of them? But I think that film also taught me so much. Every day when you're like scared and nervous and still delivering your lines, still delivering your scenes, you get a, certain amount of confidence. Ki yaar, in this situation also you can sail through, and it's important to have those moments. It's important to go on set and be nervous. I think the day your nervousness goes away, that's when you're in danger, because then you're, I think, too proud of what you've done. And that's something also that my acting coach told me. The day you feel you know everything, that's the day you need to be scared of.
Yeah, the reason I ask that is because there is a tendency to bracket people as glamorous, and sometimes people do get trapped in that image.
Yes.
Are you doing something consciously to break away from that, or you're just going with the flow?
I am going with the flow. The aim is to do, play different characters, and because I don't want to go to a set and be bored, and I don't want to go to a set and be like, okay, this se to mujhe aata hai. I want to go and be like, okay, I don't know how this will happen, but I have to make it happen by the end of the day. And I have to, when I go back home, I have to be satisfied as an actor.
Right.
And that satisfaction is what you crave for, as an actor. And when you don't know something and you go for it, and then you somehow manage to do it, that's something that gives me a lot of confidence. So the aim is to just, do different things. Of course, some things will work for me, some things will not work for me. But that's life. It's going to happen in future also. It's happened in the past. Some things people will like, some things they'll not like. Some things I will find my comfort in. Some things I would find uncomfortable, but I would still do it.
Right.
And this will keep on happening. Like, I'm not going to stop myself or be like, nahi, this didn't work, so I should not do it. This didn't work, I'll do it more, and I'll be like, let me get better at it.
You're this risk taker. You'll keep on taking risks.
Have to take the risks.
The sudden fame, success, money, popularity can affect the best of people. How do you keep yourself grounded? Do you have a sounding board?
I keep my friends keep me grounded. Actually, I think it's very important to have people who are not affected by your fame. Because I feel you don't change as a person much, but the people around you change. And when they change, then you change, and then you're like, why are they suddenly so different with me? And then the equation up till then is very different, and then post that is different. So you also feel confused, and you also feel like, so do I also need to change my ways of behaving? And I think that way my friends and family have been very, very sorted, and they keep me also sorted. They're like, you won't get any respect or anything from us, you better stay grounded. And I'm really, really glad that I have such people in my life, because at the end of the day, it's them only that you have to go back home to. This is your work. This is, yes, of course, a very important part of my life. But you also have to realize that one day all of this is going to go.
Yeah.
It's happened to everybody, to the biggest of the stars. That there are ups and downs in everybody's life. Today you have everything. You have the fame. You have the money. Tomorrow you may not have all of that. So you can't get too attached to it. You have to have your own, identity apart from this, so that tomorrow if it goes away by any chance, you're still sane and you still have a life. And I think it's important to treat this as I treat acting as a part of my life, this fame, success as a part of my life, yes, and I cherish it, I love it. But there's different side to me also. There's my family, there's my friends, my pets. There's my solitude that I really, really enjoy. So all of that is important too, and I think you just have to keep everything balanced.
But have there been any moments of insecurity so far?
I mean, insecurity, I won't say insecurity. Fear, of course, kicks in a lot of times.
Okay.
I won't deny that. You know, when you have, I mean, before, I think when I was just so new in Bombay, there's no fear. I was fearlessly doing, you know.
There was nothing to lose.
There's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
When you have something to lose is when the fear kicks in, and then you're like, okay, what next? What next? This is done, now what next? And I think I caught myself doing that a lot of times, and I was like, this is not cool. This is not something that's going to take you, it's not going to take you anywhere. You know, fear attracts fear, and fear attracts bad things. I believe in energies a lot, so I feel like one has to, you know, keep their energies clean, just send out positive vibes, and all good things will happen, good things will follow.
You did those acting workshops. How do you keep honing your acting skills, and how do you see yourself as a performer so far?
I think I keep doing little small workshops here and there. After working with Saurabh sir, I worked with Atul sir. I also did this acting workshop in Calcutta with the Milan Mela Theatre group. Okay. So I keep finding these small workshops, and every time when I'm free for 10 days, 5 days, I just do one workshop. And I think I really enjoy the process more than anything. Right. I love workshops, and I think with workshops I perform better. Without workshops, I've seen I'm still figuring out the character for the first 5-6 days, and most of the scenes are done in the first 5-6 days. But when you're you know, when you prepare for a character, then when you go on set, it's a different energy because you already know so much about the world. You know so much about yourself as that person. You know so much about your, you know, family in the film, and that helps a lot. That changes a lot of things. You think differently, you behave differently. So yeah, workshops for me are very nice.
Acting is also a collaborative process, and you worked with the likes of Ranbir Kapoor, Vicky Kaushal, Rajkumar Rao, all fantastic actors. Yes. Did that experience also help you become a better actor?
It does. I mean, acting is reacting, and if your co-actor is really good, then of course you react better.
Right.
Initially, when you know, जब शुरू ही किया था acting, this is something that you learn in the workshops, that you don't always focus on your performance. You have to also make sure that the other person is performing well, because if that person is not performing well, then then the whole scene goes flat.
Correct.
So don't be an insecure actor. Make sure you're there 100%, and if you're there, the other person will feel it too.
Right.
And then they'll also be fully present.
Right.
And I think with all these actors, I have experienced that. I think Ranbir, Vicky, Raj, they're all wonderful actors. Very, very secure as actors. I didn't feel like, there were scenes where I was nervous. There were scenes where I was like, I don't know whether I'll get my lines correct, or whether I'll be able to deliver emotional scenes, this and that. And especially when you're working with such big actors, you know, you feel there's a lot of pressure on you. But none of them made me feel insecure. In fact, they were like, Triptii, you can do it. You know, they were really pumping me up. You want to go first, or should we go first? We'll plan it according to however you want it. And I think that's something so beautiful. Just to have secure actors who have confidence in their craft. They're not, you know, very, how do I say it? Insecure about it. They're very like, we know our thing, but we want the film to look good. We want the scene to look good. We want you also to look good. And that is a very special quality to have. As I mentioned, like Raj would always give me cues, and we would always give me cues, Vicky would always give me cues, even though they were not on camera. But they feel that the scene would work better if I'm getting the lines from them rather than getting it from an AD or somebody else, because that would be different.
So what's next for Triptii? We've read about Dhadak 2, we've read about Imtiaz Ali's next, we've read about Vishal Bhardwaj's next. Which ones can you talk about?
Okay. Dhadak 2, of course, is we've finished shooting and it's going to come out soon. They'll officially announce the release date soon. But it's again a beautiful film, and I'm really, I can't wait for the film to come out. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun, and it's quite emotional talking about something that's very, very important. And of course, Vishal sir's film I'm going to start shooting from next year.
Okay. I called you an introvert. Are you still an introvert, or have you learned to deal with all the attention and fame?
I have my moments. Some days I'm introverted. I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to sit in a corner. But then there are days when I'm like, okay, let's do this. But I think I am getting better at, communicating with people. Earlier, I was just very, very shy. I could not utter a single word. But now, slowly, I think this is also a part of our job. People. There are so many people who look up to you and who expect an answer from you, and you can't be like, I don't want to talk, I'm an introvert. So I think slowly a lot of things are changing, and for good only. And yeah, I mean, in future it will change more, of course.
You were extremely frank with us. It was lovely talking to you, and we wish you all the attention and all the luck.
Thank
May
you
you
so
succeed a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
lovely
It was a
chatting
pleasure.
with you.
Thank you.
Damn.